That down. Let's move on to this, shall we? On yesterday or a week ago, I can't remember exactly, one of our viewers wrote in and say, John, what do you think about the chances that the Los Angeles Rams move Cooper Kupp? And I said, no. I can't see it happening because, they just got a win without Puka Nacua and without Cooper Kupp in the lineup. They're two best players, and they got a win, and they're going to be getting both of those guys back. And last year, they started horrible, but went on a big run at the end and made a playoff and got into the playoffs, all that kind of stuff. So I said, no. Well, my no was wrong because according to all the analysts and the reporters in the sports world, Cooper Kupp is getting traded. The Athletics NFL cover, Diana Rossini wrote, the Rams have called multiple teams about trading former Super Bowl MVP Cooper Kupp. Sources tell Mike Silver and me. The Rams have indicated a willingness to take on some of the 2024 salary and are seeking a second round pick for Cooper Kupp. Now listen, for those of you who may not follow the Los Angeles Rams, Cooper Kupp is like some insane video game create your own character dude. Like, this is a guy that would just come up in money situations every time. 3 foot back shoulder, no problem. 4 yards out front, he'll catch up to it. Like 2-on-1, he'll find open ground. Like, he's just been like that kind of a difference maker, which is why he won the Super Bowl MVP. His numbers have been great. Now, the problem with Cooper Kupp is that he has been plagued the last couple of years with injuries that has clearly hampered his play. They say he looks good right now. They're targeting his comeback, all that kind of stuff. But the Rams seem to be willing to look forward to move on from him. I think the Rams are starting, maybe this is the first signal that they are acknowledging the one era of the Rams is over, time for us to start rebuilding. Because Aaron Donald retired. I mean, that team changed when Aaron Donald, Aaron Donald, who might arguably be the best pure football player, period, of the last 10 years. He retired, so gone. You got a young Puka coming up that he's going to be good. You got him. You can lock him in for a long time. So the question becomes, if the Rams do trade Cooper Kupp, where's he likely to go? Because there's a lot of teams right now that are kind of looking for good wide receivers to kind of shore things up and all that kind of stuff. I want to propose there are 3 places most likely for him to go. And I'll go in order of least likely to most likely. My number 3 spot for potential destination for Cooper Kupp is don't go anywhere. The LA Chargers. Just stay in town. Listen, there's a lot of good pieces over at the Chargers. They've got their new coach who knows how to win. Herbert needs that. You got a stud of a kid quarterback. I mean, he's not really a kid anymore. He's becoming a veteran, but he needs more weapons. Not necessarily the top notch, whatever, but he needs more weapons around him. Cooper Kupp seems like a no-brainer. Obviously, I think if Cooper's going to get traded, it'd be nice to stay in LA.
Yeah, and that'd be like a favor to him. Like, you're going to move your family.
You don't have to move your family. You don't have to uproot your life. You don't have to. You just stay right where you are.
Yep.
You can eat. All you got to do is go to your locker room, take your stuff out of your locker, walk down the hall, and put it into a new cubby. You're good, right? So they're good there. So I honestly think that's going to be a serious place. I won't be surprised at all if we wake up tomorrow morning and find out that Cooper Kupp's been traded to the Chargers. So that's why I think the 3, but I think there are 2 other places that are even more likely. So number 3, I think is the Chargers. Number 2, and this might surprise some of you, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs, I think, are a legitimate place for them to go because they have suffered major losses lately. They've been managing to win, but, they lost Rice. They lost
Hollywood Brown,
Juju.
Yeah.
They lost. I mean, they're short some pieces. Now, they have just signed to get DeAndre Hopkins. We're going to talk about that in a second. That's a good addition. And we'll talk about why it's such a good addition a little bit later. But here's the thing. And again, we'll talk about it later. Hopkins got picked up for nothing but a 5th round pick. They got DeAndre Hopkins for a 5th round pick. They have trade capital. And if you're the Chiefs and you really want to solidify that we are a favorite to win the Super Bowl this year, can you imagine Cooper Kupp running routes for Patrick Mahomes?
with Hopkins and Kelsey.
Like, seriously?
Yeah, that's nuts.
Because you don't want to know what one of the things that Cooper Kupp is best at? It's also happened to be something Hopkins is really good at. When the quarterback has to extend the plays, and you've done the route, but now it's time to freelance, and you just got to get open for your quarterback. Yeah. Kupp is one of the best in the league at that. And what does Mahomes do? He scrambles, lets downfield evolve, and then picks his spot. Kelsey is lethal at that. How a guy as big as Kelsey ever gets wide open, I don't know, but Kelsey finds a way to get himself wide open a lot in that. And you put a Cooper Kupp out there doing that with them. I mean, as if the undefeated Chiefs aren't a problem already. Yeah. That becomes an issue. So my number 3 spot for him to go to is the Chargers. My number 2 is the Kansas City Chiefs. What I think is the most likely scenario for Cooper Kupp, though, I think the team that will move the most to try to get him right now is a team that legitimately has a shot to go deep in the playoffs if they make the right moves. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers just lost their 2 best receivers. They just lost Mike Evans, who he'll be back probably in 3 or 4 weeks, but he's going to be out for weeks. And they lost Godwin for the season. Mr. Reliable, yards after catch. Like, they lost him. And so now you've got this gunslinger quarterback who leads the league in touchdowns, by the way, with Baker Mayfield. And you have completely emptied out the quiver. You got nothing left. I think if you're talking about a team that could benefit most from Cooper Kupp going there and would probably be willing to move the most to get him, I think you're looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I'm going to say my number 3 is the Chargers. My number 2 is the Kansas City Chiefs. But I think the most likely place for him to go, the one that makes the most sense at any rate, is probably the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Anyway, Ryan, you see what's going on with Kupp. Number 1, do you think they'll ultimately move him? And then number 2, if he does, where do you see him winding up?
I see why they want to move him. The NFC West is not super stacked at the moment with records in their division. He's supposed to play tomorrow against the Vikings. So I kind of want him to stick around to see what we can do, but I understand why they want to trade him. He's getting up there. He has injury history. Stafford's getting up there in age too. They might be getting ready to reboot and getting as much as they can for these players. Kupp still owed a lot of money. He makes like 20-some million a season.
I think he's at 15 or something million. He's still owed $9 million for this year.
So then he has 2 more years after that. So there is the salary cap issue. Like wherever he goes, whatever the Rams say they're going to pay, the rest of the team has to eat it. So like the Chiefs, I don't know how much cap they have. Some of these other teams, how much cap they have to swallow. But all the teams you picked are on my list. A couple of teams I have that aren't. The Steelers. I think they basically only have Pickens. And they have Wilson in there now and get him some more targets.
Because listen, man, they're 5-2.
Yeah.
Their offense now is humming better than it has all year now that they got Russell Wilson in there. We'll see whether or not that continues. Yeah. But you add a weapon like a Cooper Kupp on the outside, you now start to have delusions of grandeur about maybe getting to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and he's a security blanket like he was that for Stafford, being around when needed for passes running out of the backfield. So I think that's a place they could go. Also, the Commanders give Jaden Daniels another weapon. They have some good receivers, but I think adding Kupp just makes everything better. I still think, though, overall, the best team is Tampa, like you said. They don't have any receivers. They need one. So that makes the most sense for a team when they don't have a receiver to get one. But I'll be interested to see who picks him up. I'll be sad to see him go. I was there for the NFC Championship game before they went to the Super Bowl, and he pretty much won that Super Bowl for us, so I'm sad to see him go, but I understand the business of football and what happens, so we'll see if they actually trade him. I think the trade deadline is the first week of November, so this week might
November
be November
5th, isn't it?
Yeah.
November 5th. Yeah.
So this might be,
I think Election Day, isn't it?
Oh, you're right. It is.
Isn't that the trade deadline? Is Election Day?
This might be one of his
Crazy.
last games as a Ram. So,
some people are saying the Baltimore Ravens.
yeah,
Here's the thing, though. Baltimore Ravens, I'm just going by the eye test. They got the most lethal offense in the league right now. What they need is to build their defense.
Yeah.
Right? Like if Baltimore needs to make any moves and makes any trades, I don't think you do it going all in for another receiver. I think you go and get 1 or 2 pieces that you add to your defense. I think that's probably going to be their priority because, listen, Baltimore has the offense to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I don't know that they have, I'm not comfortable that they have the defense to win a Super Bowl. So I think if they're going to make any moves, they probably go there. But anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? They're saying Cooper Kupp, that the Rams are actively contacting teams and saying Cooper Kupp is on the block, man. You want a Cooper Kupp? You want a Super Bowl MVP? Come get him. We're asking for a second-round pick. What do you think, and where do you think he could end up? Whatever you think, jump down to the comments below and let us know your thoughts.